Welcome, guys, to Quantum Conscious Conversations. Today, I have the honor to have my star sister, Yolanda, and she is a cosmic alchemist. She's all about alchemy, and she's here on Earth right now, helping people through their ascension process. And today, we're really going to dive into alchemy. We're going to dive into transmutation, shadow work. Is shadow work really important in your spiritual ascension, or do we just have to always be in gratitude? You guys will find out throughout this episode. How are you feeling, Yolanda?
I'm feeling good. Thank you for having me, Thackerus. We just had a really quick meditation, so feeling really grounded, very connected to Mother Gaia, and I'm ready to talk about alchemy. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so let's just dive in. Tell us, I'm curious, tell us a little bit more about how and when alchemy came into your life.
Yeah, okay. Wow. I don't think I knew what alchemy was before I knew what it was, but it fully came into my life about 8 years ago when I started feeling a lot through my hands, touching things, feeling energy. The first energy I really felt was Mother Gaia, which is so awesome. And I started feeling plants, like different plants and different frequencies, and started communicating with them. And at that time, I still didn't know what alchemy was. There wasn't a lot of people I could talk to. So I really thought I was going a little bit cuckoo in my head, like, what is happening? Until I met someone that kind of taught me about access bars, which is a form of alchemy where you pull energy out of someone's mind that holds on to like beliefs and values and attitudes and all of that from this life, from past life. So when that happened, they did a access bars on me. They did a session on me, and it felt like someone came and just cut my anchors down. Whatever was keeping
it sounds just like quantum healing. It's exactly it is. Yeah.
So yeah, that happened, and after that happened, I got into it. I was like, I need to learn this. And then I got into a program where the first time I actually felt energy, feelings, pulling energy out, having our body as a vessel, right, to like transmute that energy. And I just got hooked. I was transmuting everything, but in the beginning, like from then to now is so different from like how you master alchemy. But that was the first time I ever felt energy and really mastered and learned that we can actually harness energy. So that was my experience, and I just started like diving into it. And after my first session, I woke up and I was like, they're like, how do you feel? I was like, I feel something in the back of my head. And they were like, that's your pineal gland. Your third eye is activated. And since that day, I have not stopped feeling my third eye. And then over time, I started activating my crown, my throat, my heart. And to be honest, my lower chakras were kind of really hard for me because I was very spiritual and less like grounded. So I had to like slowly integrate and, really allow my spirit, divine being, really embrace my human side. But that was my first experience.
I love that. And I love that you also brought this sense of community, because that's what the whole ascension part of it, of like the 5D is. Like, we're all here, like in a way, healing each other. Like we can do so much work from within, but we really come here into this reality to co-create and heal each other. Like even for me, like I have had a work done on me, and it's like amazing, transcendental, So it really is about like giving that back, receiving and giving back. And I really love that you, like the way you were describing this whole experience of alchemy, and that really, like in my reality, that translates as quantum healing. That's essentially what I do. Quantum healing, and just being able to transmute and replace like old code. And not necessarily from a place of like people are broken, rather than from a place of like they're remembering. who they really were,
Yeah.
But in this episode, I really, really want to dive into a day-to-day life on how can we use alchemy. Like in your experience, how do you use alchemy day to day?
Wow, where do I start? Because it's a 24-hour process. You wake up, you align your energy. I first started with just affirmations. That's my first way of alchemizing something when I
Right,
was reprogramming my subconscious mind.
right.
But
So do you
now,
meditate like early in the morning?
yes, I think that meditation is, we were talking about it, it's a what energetic hygiene. You have to meditate to really align energy. And if you don't want to
Mhm.
meditate, go outside and just hug a tree or something to really ground in. But I protect my energy when I first wake up. That's the first thing I do. I
Same.
protect my energy.
Yes.
I call in my higher self, I call in spirit. I'm like come on, like there's so many entities right here
Yes.
right now. And then I go through about my day. Just, I'm in a place right now where I'm looking for triggers. Back in the day, we're like, no, don't trigger us. But now I'm looking for triggers so I can transmute that energy and see like I just live in the present moment, and whatever comes, I transmute. That's in my way.
Mm,
So I think the first thing is protecting your energy. And with alchemy or transmutation, it's all about feeling into it. So visualizing, if you're not a visual person, sensing it, feeling into it, like whatever
mhm.
comes to you, if it's a color or shape or something, um, everyone's different. There's no right way to do this. There's no wrong way to do
Absolutely.
it. It's just
Yeah.
your way. It's so awesome.
It's
So
about, I feel like it's about also people just like practicing and finding their own way. It's like perhaps if your form of alchemy is going to be like writing something down and then like burning that paper down, like that is your ritual. I feel like I tend to do it more just from within, like when I wake up, I definitely have to reprogram myself and just set the tone, because I know like as soon as I wake up, I just have to meditate. That's like part of my journey. I have to just set the tone, like really like because as soon as we wake up, we're in that delta state, so it's the
mm,
easiest way to reprogram. And sometimes, like when we are in reactivity mode, we're reacting already, like in the first like 20 minutes, we're already on our phone, whatever. We're taking all that in, like, and then we become that energy. So it's like, it's really, really that process. That's like, for me, as soon as I wake up, I just have to meditate. And during my meditation, that's where I'm actually doing the work. If I'm have to transmute some energy that I feel in my body, I breathe it out. But I'm also within myself telling myself today is going to be this, you know, I'm going to do this. And at the same time, I just uplift myself and I'm like, just existing. Then I allow the sense of gratitude to arise. And perhaps if I have days like where I'm feeling a lot and my body's tired and I wake up with a lot of cortisol, stress
mm,
hormone, and I feel it in my brain, I'm like, all over the place. There, I use alchemy, and there I really transmit that energy with the help of Mother Nature. You know,
yeah.
so let's really go there. Like, let's really give people that is watching us right now an idea of what that looks like for you and what it looks like for me. So you can go ahead.
Wow, with Mother Nature. Oh, man. Well, first you have to remember we are Earth. We are Mother Nature. Every being of us comes from her healing presence.
Yes.
So when we totally ground in with Mother Nature is, oh, I can't. Where do you begin? Like, I just want to speak light language right now. Because she's just this space of stillness, and all she does is
Mm,
receive and heal. And
mm.
when we tap into that energy, we can take that energy and use it to transmute energy for ourselves,
Oh,
but
yeah.
also help with her healing process. That's what we're here to do. We're here to
Yes.
ascend with her, to raise that vibration with her, because she's shifting. She's elevating, and we got to elevate with her to survive in this frequency of like harmony
Yeah.
and peace. So, I mean, really grounding in, visualize yourself. I like visualizing myself as a tree, like me
Mm,
as a root, you know, my like sending my energy out
love
into the
that.
universe and deep within the earth. And when we connect that, I believe that we're the rainbow bridge between the cosmos and the earth. Like that's that remembrance that we tap into when we connect what is
Mhm.
above and below. So
Yes.
really grounding into Mother Earth and remembering that, you'll activate that DNA's remembrance of why you're here, who you are, and heal parts of you that you might not consciously even know.
Yeah. And like, I feel like grounding and just like being just aware. I feel like when we're really going to reprogram ourselves, it's just, I feel like sometimes it's just about being aware your day to day, and like perhaps like I see this in the spiritual community a lot, like grounding yourself in like envisioning yourself with roots into the ground, like
Mm.
I have a signature guided meditation that is just about that, like grounding with Gaia, and that's the beautiful thing about this 5D community now that we have access,
Yeah.
like we really can feel and even just visualize, like, and for some people that is watching, like, perhaps your certain psychic abilities are still not like turned on, and that's okay, but just commanding, like when you wake up in your meditation or in your own stillness, just like even just saying it within yourself, like right now plugging myself into nature, you envision your roots, you start pulling that energy, like that really does a lot, in like Gaia is definitely, the earth is definitely like, I feel like it's more like this nurturing mother, and it's unconditional, but even her, she has to ascend, so we will have to catch up, and then, but, I'm going to tell you this. I remember about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was transmuting a lot, during the morning, transmuting a lot, and then just every morning I was plugging myself, and I still do. At this point, I just plug myself all the time. When I feel like, I use an analogy of the
Mm.
tree because I know that I'm the tree. I know that my roots are plugged in, and sometimes when there's a lot going on in life, what we're really feeling is like that wind, like shaking us a little bit, but then we forget, and then our mind focuses on like, no, the wind is like moving me, but we're actually still plugged in, grounded. So it's not really about like focusing where you are, but during that time I was transmuting a lot and like, just working with Gaia every day. And after a week, I remember something was missing and I couldn't figure it out. And I was so caught up in this idea of like, just like uh taking, and allowing her to transmute and heal, that I forgot to say thank you. And
Oh.
that's what was missing. And then one morning, I realized and I said, I haven't been acknowledging Gaia and telling her thank you. And when I gave that back, that part that was missing went away, and then I realized that I really had to just this conscious connection, and really just like, because Gaia does want to be loved, the earth does want to be loved, like does want to hear us, like especially the ones that we already have that connection to Mother Nature, like she loves to like us to acknowledge her, like, oh, for sure, so for me, I feel like it's about taking and giving back, in a way. What are some other ways in your day-to-day life, perhaps? Or you know what? Let's go into a part of your life where alchemy and transmutation was so like the main thing that you just really had to do.
I think my learning process of really mastering alchemy was my awakening, because when we
Mm,
first awaken, it's like a little bit like, ooh, exciting, like what is going on, and then it's a lot of like shedding,
Oh
crying,
yeah.
transformation. So I remember like I was in college at that time living by myself. So it was like 2 years of being alone. And this is when I was like in the redwood trees. And it was just constant weekly transmutations of like
Mm,
crying, shedding, doing shadow work, and then like feeling fine. And then the universe going, here's another one, here's another one, here's another one. So
mm,
that in that period, it was a lot of learning about transmutation, about alchemy, about like really solidifying my power of like, oh wow, I feel something. I can just use my power of thought, my heart to transmute this. So I think that was the time that I really learned how to master alchemy.
mhm.
But after that, I mean, ooh, I love using sacred geometry to alchemize. I don't know if that's something we want to talk about, but like healing the body, I learned through another person that you can just visualize every single cell in your body as the seed of life, the flower of life, whatever sacred geometry you want to work with, and just imagine it 3D and transforming. So
Yeah.
I started doing that, but most of the time I use alchemy for protection because when I first started, I didn't know about protection that much. And when you start reading people's energy or start diving into things beyond this physical realm, it gets a little bit kind of scary. And when I dealt with I had a client and
Were you not grounding yourself during that time?
I was, but I was in a place of knowing, believing that I can do this, knowing, but remember when you're first getting started, you kind of doubt yourself. You're like,
It was a beginner stage, yeah.
yeah, it was a beginner stage. And
Yeah.
when you first start, you want to help everyone. And then you realize you're only here to help yourself. And when you hear yourself, then you can show
Yeah.
up for other people in that way.
That's the whole thing about the wounded healer, like a lot of the times when we wake up, we it's then our mind takes over and it starts projecting that outside and goes like, now we gotta, like uh, wake up all the people in your family, but I feel like everyone really has their own stage, and during that time, as soon as people wake up, it really is about doing all the work from within, and using alchemy, like unlayering, shedding, skins. And honestly, that really goes back into the metaphor of like ancient alchemy, so let's talk a little bit more about that. This old saying of turning lead into gold, like during that time, scientists were really, it was a whole different world because scientists was really, they were also spiritual. You can think of it as like a wizard, so it was really different times, and it's like this old saying of like turning lead into gold, and perhaps they thought that was possible, but I feel like alchemy was just in a way teaching during that time, in a way giving a metaphor for like the present moment on really, I guess that lead could be like this these part of us that need purification, and as you were saying, it's really all about transmuting that and turning those areas into gold,
Right.
and like I feel like that really is about your entire existence, because you're constantly showing up to yourself, you're constantly showing up to your funeral because you see parts of you dying, you know tell me a little bit more about that, like how does that look for you, like how often
There's
do you
the rebirth that we've been
yeah.
talking. So, I think more so now than before because my spirits know that I can alchemize energy. So
Mm,
they're like, oh, you gotta, especially when we're here to do the work for the collective, they're just giving you things to alchemize right and left. Yeah, so there's, wow, what does that look like? Again, a lot of tears, a lot of crying.
and
Really,
like even tears has to do with the part of dissolution. So first, in the ancient times of alchemy, like, right, we're talking about scientific. Hey guys, so the sound went off here. In this part, I'm just pretty much saying the first stage is calcination, then the second stage is dissolution. So when we focus on calcination, feeling like we're dying, literally, and you know what, that feeling really comes from this cosmic alchemy within ourselves, like part of ourselves is literally burning, because it really has to burn, has to burn in order to like turn into ashes, and then when we start crying and we're like releasing, that's that liquid, that dissolution that comes right after, and oftentimes I feel like people run away from that, because they don't want to feel all of that, and it can be overwhelming, when we're on layering, it can get a little overwhelming. But I do believe that once we really know what's going on, then we trust that we're going to be okay. Even just this metaphor of like, when you're in the first stage of alchemy, and if perhaps is a lot for you, and you're feeling like you're burning, you're feeling like, and perhaps if you want to run away, what happens is that you kind of like hold that, and it will show up again in your life. And that's the whole thing about shadow work as well, healing those old wounds, it's the first stage in a way. It's just labeling things, I am feeling like part of me is dying, and then sometimes the next step would be just crying, just letting go of that, letting and allowing all of that to just come out. And then we find clarity, then we feel clear. Then we can make decisions, because sometimes when we make decisions out of feeling like we're burning, or out of feeling like we're feeling a lot of emotion, sometimes those new decisions don't really resonate. We're making them out of that emotional reactivity.
Exactly.
So I feel like alchemy really is about knowing where you are, and knowing the process, and I feel like once we really master alchemy, we do that all the time, at any time, day to day, I just like, even for myself, I just go into meditation, transmute that energy. I see that energy being dissolved. And you know what I do? I actually send that energy, and not necessarily send it, but I also see that energy go back and reintegrate to source energy, because it does want to go back into source and reintegrate,
I do the same. I'm like, I send the energy to where it can be useful, or where it can be like used wisely again.
That's the whole power of transmuting. And like, it is our birthright. Like, we have the ability to do this.
I agree. Yeah, we are energetic beings. And if you really want to talk a little bit about science into alchemy or transmutation, is higher frequency particles always convert lower frequency particles. It can't be the other way around.
Yes.
So to really alchemize is anchoring down your light, staying sovereign in your frequency, and really like holding down that core frequency, so everything around you is transmuting when you're just like, I'm light, I'm love, I'm gratitude, I'm compassion, whatever frequency you want to be. So that's the secret to alchemy. Staying in a high frequency, you can convert everything else.
I love that you just mentioned that, because that does bring the whole idea of cosmic alchemy. When you're aware that the real transmutation that is happening there, it's coming from source. It's literally that light energy that is working through you within yourself, transmuting those impurities, perhaps dark or shadow aspects of you, and shining that light. And then what you're feeling is literally the light breaking down all of those shadows of you, and that's why for a lot of people feels a lot, and sometimes they go like, it's too much, like I can't let it go. But it's like trusting that there is this part of us, which is source energy, that is always within we're inside source energy, you know. Let's
Exactly.
talk a little bit about that divine, the feminine divine energy that is always within ourselves, healing ourselves. And I feel like it's another mirror from Mother Nature, you know.
I was just
Yeah.
gonna say that. I was like, we get that from Mother Nature.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit more about your experience with the feminine divine energy and how it works with you.
Yeah, I'm actually in it again right now in the process of being really not embodying that feminine energy is
Mm,
just, I wouldn't say in this place of relaxation and like, I'm not going to do anything, but this
yeah.
place of stillness,
Receiving, yes.
just place of stillness and receiving and also giving at the same time. Because Mother Nature, what you said earlier, it's this balanced cycle of giving and receiving. She gives so
Mhm.
much, but she also wants to receive.
Oh,
And
yeah.
when we're in that place of feminine energy, the giving is not that masculine energy that we have to go out there and like give. We can be still and be in that flow, that
Flow state,
stillness
yeah.
where give and receive naturally comes and we're just here. So I'm in
Mhm.
this place of fully embodying the stillness
Mm.
and recognizing, because awareness, like you said earlier, is the magic key to any door that
Oh,
you're
yeah.
going to ascend. Having that awareness, like, okay, the wind's coming, the hurricane's coming, but you're anchored, you're down, and you're in this feminine energy of just sending gratitude to Gaia,
Yeah.
sending it all down, letting her heal, letting her transmute, also healing for her and transmuting with her. And
Mm.
I think feminine energy is fully integrating that deep connection of remembrance with earth. And I would say it's not the first chakra. I would say it's the zero chakra, the earth star chakra, where you really
Mm.
tap into that essence of Mother Earth.
Yeah, I mean, the 10th chakra is that ancestry, you know, that like connection to Gaia. I do feel like the feminine divine energy within us is like it's always like in that receptive mode. So it's just yet for us to tap into it, you know, in and even that healing, like, you know, I feel like in the spiritual community, sometimes our mind is always like looking for more healing. But I feel like sometimes that healing is already here, you know, within ourselves, you know, and sometimes even just being still is healing, you know, something just being like this feminine divine energy, you know. And I do see how also, I mean, when it comes to manifestation, I feel like I do feel like the spiritual community is overly feminine because, you know, it's like you wait until, you know, being this more receptive mode, which is important, you know. But, you know, Archangel Metatron has taught me that what is happening also to the collective right now is that there's times for us to get up and claim our manifestations, you know? Like actually,
Really?
yeah,
I'm getting
yeah.
kind of the opposite. But you know what?
It's a
Metatron does
balance.
get on my ass about prioritizing things in my life. He's
Mhm.
very like, go,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you know where that's coming from? Because it's like, you know, I mean, you know, we're not gonna detour too much, but manifestation, you know, it's like, yes, you do manifest by being here in the now, and you get to embody that you already have that, right?
Mhm.
But we're still physical beings, you know. So day to day, we have to also show up and like walk to that manifestation, you know, like even us just now, you know, like showing up to this beautiful episode. That is that masculine part of manifestation, you know, like doing those aspects and really showing up, you know, because I feel like oftentimes, you know, like in the spiritual community, a way of like, you know, like everything is going to come to you. And yes, indeed, you know, if you're receptive in receptive mode receiving, it will come to you, you know. But once it's here, like you also kind of have to like in a way like embody that masculine action. It is actually called intuitive action, you know. And
Mhm.
when we're downloading and receiving creative energy, that is intuitive creation. So it's really both of them are important, the masculine and the feminine. Perhaps now in your life, if you feel like you really got to anchor in more of the feminine, it's because perhaps maybe in the past you were doing more of that action state. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's coming though. It's coming. I feel like it's switching
Mm.
into a place of like, but I totally agree with you. We're not going to get anywhere. We just sit on our bed watching TV every day. That's not going to get us anywhere. So,
There has
yeah,
to be, I feel like for everything, there has to be a balance,
yeah.
you know?
I'm
Yeah.
a firm believer in showing up and doing the work because
Mhm.
you're right. Healing isn't, angels are not just sprinkling down at you and like healing energy. I mean, they can, but you have to be open to it, and you also have to do the work with them and transmute that energy.
And this leads us in next chapter of this episode, which is shadow work. Is it really that important to practice shadow work? And do we really have to practice shadow work? And that really comes from someone that has been practicing shadow work for a long time. And maybe in the beginning for me, I was like, another part to integrate. And for now, I'm just like, okay, like this is what I have to do. This is what I have to integrate. I have to do it. And I feel like this part of this episode is really gonna help and guide new star seeds coming in, light workers, and everyone else that is just becoming more conscious and awaken rapidly.
Yeah.
I feel like in the beginning, when you start to like understand that you can have awareness and you can think about positive things, and then sometimes there could be some spiritual bypassing or a hijack, when you're like only positive things. And then your higher self shows up and goes like, there's this part of you that needs purification, and you're like, only gratitude.
Oh
It's like it
yeah.
is, it really is important, like tell us a little
Yeah.
bit more about shadow work.
Wow, you're so on point with that. I feel like you kind of know my life story because I grew up very joyful, very positive. I'm still like that. And I didn't think anything of it until one of my friends called me out and said, "You're spiritual bypassing," which
Mm,
I allow like, I didn't want anyone to like mess up my happy, joyful mood. And I didn't, I was like, I don't have shadow work. What are you talking about? I'm like happy go lucky all the time until came. So I think shadow work is very important because shadow work is not, it seems heavy in the beginning because your fear, your whole body shakes right before you release and transmute that fear. So you're about the edge of like, oh my God, I'm so scared. And most people kind of like step back from it and they
mm.
don't do it. But
you
once
know
you
I
go
feel
ahead.
like it's also the mind that doesn't know what it is, so it goes like, let me run away,
Yeah,
right?
shadow work is a little bit of miscommunication between the body and the mind because
Mm,
your body holds onto the energy and your mind is telling you what that energy is. And it's not
mhm.
fully telling the truth because our mind is so powerful. But when we don't have it in communication with the rest of our aspects of us, like mind, body, soul, spirit, it plays tricks on us because our mind's the one that tells us negative things about ourselves, but our heart is always one that tells us, you're so loving and you're so loved and you're so
Oh
kind.
yes.
So shadow work is so important because these energies that we hold in our body due to trauma, ancestral karmic things from
Mm.
past life, they lower our
Oh
vibration.
yes, because they anchor us to fear. Yes.
Yes, and they mess the alignment, so there is no straight flow from cosmic
Oh
source energy all
yes.
the way down.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
fear is at the root, right? The root of that connection with Mother Gaia. So fear is, it surrounds us really much right now. You can see it. Whatever
Mhm.
is in charge of like fighting, bringing fear into the world, it's scaring people. And it's scaring people so they don't feel grounded and safe in this planet with Mother Gaia. So I think shadow work is so important because when you transmute that energy, you open up space for your own
Mm.
healing, for your
Yes.
own thoughts, your own experiences, not what people
Mhm.
told you or programming. You just like, you basically shed layers to find your true authentic self.
and having that remembrance of your divine self,
Yeah.
because it really is about, honestly, I feel like enlightenment is just like walking back to source energy, you know, and it really is just that, we're just walking back to source energy. But maybe here, like as we're walking back, there's all these like solid energies start ground, like anchor us into fear, so it's really about like um letting go, or sometimes forgiving ourselves, because it's like I feel like a lot of the times, with people in childhood and whatnot, sometimes souls, that really want to evolve rapidly, they pick these childhoods are really, really rough, or circumstances, or they make contracts with other people, with fear, whatnot. And I feel like um part of reparenting yourself, is understanding that that happened to that person during that time, and sometimes just forgiving ourselves for being in that experience is what liberates us, and allows us to let go,
Yeah.
and then really embody and open that space, because it really is all about creating this open space,
Mhm.
and sometimes when we feel like we can't breathe and then it's just too solid, is because we're feeling that energy,
Yeah. Yeah, it's very heavy and draining sometimes, but you're right. The two, I think it's forgiveness and gratitude is
Mm,
such, they work so well together when you transmute shadow work. It's like forgiving yourself, forgiving others, knowing like, we don't like to be judged, so why do we judge others? And really forgiving everyone, because we're all human and we're all here learning and living, and we should never hold on to these memories that just, they dissipate, like they're
yeah.
gone. um yeah, so
I feel like
transmuting.
I feel like it's also like, and that's where really compassion is born, because understanding and having that awareness that like everyone has their own suffering, internal suffering that they need to liberate, you know. And I feel like, I get this question a lot on my Instagram, and they're like, how do I know I am on the right path? How do I know that I'm really where I'm meant to be, and like for everyone that's going to look so different, for everyone
Yeah.
it's going to look so different. Like for me, honestly, when I know that I'm in the right path is when I am transmuting, on layering things that are toxic to myself, as they come up, when I know that I'm becoming more compassionate to myself and others, and sometimes the thing, the thing about shadow work is that it really pushes you, because we really cannot grow in comfort, like
Yeah.
shadow work really goes like, no, 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 like it's not gonna happen here. Like you really have to like reintegrate, and learn new things again, to be able to replace that new code with the old programming, and that's one of the reasons a lot of people don't, not gonna say a lot, some people choose to run away,
Yeah.
but when we know that we really have that anchor and we're working, is, our spirit guides are here, working with us at all times. We can also invite that
Yeah.
guidance. Tell us a little bit about your connection with your spirit guides. When do you call them in? What is that for you? What does it look like?
They're with me all the time. I think they might they might be like, you call on us too much.
Mhm.
But I call them all the time. I work, when I first started, I grew up Buddhist, so I worked with Guanyin Pusa, Amitofo all the
Mhm.
time, really learning about compassion.
Mhm.
But as I developed more of my skills, I got into angels and
Mhm.
fairies, and
Love
um
that.
yeah, it's just, it's amazing because when you learn to connect with them, they're so supportive. Sometimes when I'm
Mhm.
scared, and when we're in our own fear, we forget sometimes that they're there, like to open up and
Oh
ask for
yeah.
guidance, ask for help. And they're just waiting because they're like, oh my God, you have free will. Like, hurry up, just ask us to help. But I call upon 4 angels every day that surround me: Michael, Metatron, Hanel, and Razel.
Mm.
And they just protect me throughout the day. And I use them whenever I get scared, whenever I need, like, honestly, I think that guides are here to remind us that we are our own guide, right? Like there's decks and oracle cards and all of this outside of us, but we are source itself too.
Oh, yes.
Guides are here to remind us that, like, they're here to always remind us and give us clarity and stuff like that, but we can get the same information directly from our heart.
Oh, yes. Yeah. That was the whole thing of like when I was collaborating with my homegirl Aria, and we were working with the Heart Center portal in the workshop that we did. That was the message, like it is like, we can work with angels and our spirit guides. They are volunteering to guide us and help us, but one thing that it really has been coming a lot during my Akashic readings is that they keep telling me this, and they're saying for us to develop this connection to them, not only when we need them, or only when we're in fear, because they're meant to teach us subtle energy, like quantum, the quantum field beyond that, just like a small fraction, that it's valid, to have them help us, transmute and all of that. But in one of my in my recent Akashic Records reading, this person's guides they just kept saying this: we're here to serve, we're here to serve. And I was like, I can hear you guys, like, hey, but where are you going with this, and they were in a way just saying, not just to protect, we're here to serve and teach beyond, this about this quantum field. That's why in this 5D community is so important to really develop every day this conscious connection to your spirit guides and angels, because they're always going to be teaching us about this multi-dimensional part of us,
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think, going back to your question, one of what I do is I channel a lot with my guides, getting I think our creativity too, where it comes from our heart, directly from source, that we're able to like create into this world. So really sitting down, meditating, connecting with your guides, connecting with your higher self, whatever, it's all initially the same. And channeling has been super helpful. Channeling meditations, channeling healing, channeling messages. And even that question that people have, like, am I on the right path? Am I doing the right thing? Your guides will show you by angel numbers, by like
they will come in different forms.
Everyone. And the form is up to you. Like, you can communicate with your angels. It doesn't
whatever
have to
resonates. Yes.
Yeah.
For someone that is just now trying to learn to connect to perhaps their spirit guides or angels, what is one of you? Tell us a tip or an advice day to day. Perhaps they're not ready to like go into this deep channeling or whatnot, or just a really kind of like, I guess, basic tip that they can do throughout the day.
To connect with
their spirit guides. Yes.
Okay. Ooh, do you like sorry, I like physical evidence. That's how my human is. So when to answer the question, do you mean something like physical or spiritual, or kind of both?
I mean, kind of both. Yeah.
When I first started, I used pendulums. So I was so obsessed with the pendulum, to the point where the pendulum stopped, because they were like, stop asking us the same stupid questions every day. They literally stopped at one point. And I learned to not use a pendulum anymore, because they're like, this. So I started using my whole body as a pendulum. So here I can share a trick right now with you. If you want to
Yes.
connect to your guides, simply just like activate your hand chakras, place them over your heart, and use your entire body and heart as a pendulum. And you can test by saying yes, 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 your body will move forward. Saying no, 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 your body will move back. And having that communication with your guides, and simply going in and asking questions like, is this interview the highest good for myself to work with? You know, like, and then your guides will like go, yes, yes, yes. And you're like, okay. So that's one way to connect with your guides if you don't want to use something physical.
Yeah.
I like, in the beginning, like I said, I used a lot of physical things like oracle decks. My first angel I met through was Oracle. Like I didn't have any awareness in who Michael was until I started communicating through cards. And then once my gifts enhanced, I just felt him. He came directly to me. And now they communicate with me by turning my body, actually. I'll be like, they'll come in and I'm like, who is this? And they're like, and I know it's exactly Michael because Michael always stands right next to me.
Wow, that's amazing.
So
you know, that really, I feel like when people are just waking up, it's fun to use a tangible object to get that inner, that validation of like that you are indeed communicating to your spirit guides or to angels and whatnot. But one of the teachings that the angels have been, not only the angels, the Arcturians have been sharing with me a lot, is to have balance. Because after all, you know, I feel like in the beginning it's so valid, you know, to use these tangible objects, you know, just like your experience with the pendulum, it got obsessive, you know, sometimes the mind can like be like, if this is the only way that you can connect to the higher realms, then this is all you're going to use, you know. But it's really like upgrading and keep upgrading and enhancing, you know, because I feel like, and this is something that has always resonated with me, is that we come here in divine code. Everything is from within ourselves. It is fun, you know, to work with these tangible things, you know. But I get like for people that are just now starting, you know, like it's fun to like do tarot, oracle cards and all of that, you know, even just using a tangible object to manifest, you know, creating spells and all of that. It is fun, you know, but it does get to a point as we evolve and transition and our psychic abilities kick in, that we just kind of like, you know, like for me, it's just like that inner knowing, you know.
yeah.
And like during the day, how do I normally just connect with my spirit guides? I just talk to them from within myself.
Yeah.
That's it. You know, I just say like, you know, step forward, you know, and then I just take a deep breath in through my heart, just wait a little bit, and I can literally feel the frequency that they're bringing to me. One thing I do want to share with people that are watching is that you don't have to be a psychic to communicate to your spirit guides, because we often forget that we're all telepath. And in the quantum field, we can communicate to angels, spirit guides, just with our telepathic abilities. We all have this. You know, it just has been suppressed in humanity, obviously. But you know, just within yourself, you know, sending that vibration, that thought, you know, to who is directed, they receive it, you know. And sometimes those messages end up, by the time we receive them, sometimes they end up being in someone's caption in a YouTube video. And then we're like, oh, does that happen to you? Because for me, that happens all the time.
So much.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how beautiful information is. It's like, information is like, it translates. Divine light is always, you know, communicating through many different venues, you know.
Yeah. And like ultimately it's the same source of energy. So there is no separation. It's yeah.
Is there any last thoughts on alchemy transmutation that you would like to share with us?
Yes, believe in yourself,
Mhm.
trust in yourself. If you're wanting to open up your abilities and connect, know that you can, because I'm
Mhm.
here. Like, we all started with like not knowing anything, and
Yeah.
now we're here and we're able to like communicate and transmute energy. I would say believe in yourself the most, because why we try to find so many sources outside is we trust in them, but we don't trust in ourselves. So
Yeah.
we're learning to really trust in ourselves.
Mm.
And I always say like the levels of ascension is belief, know, and then be. So really like believing like, oh yeah, there's magic. Oh, I know there's magic. And then I am magic. Like that.
I love that you just said that because it does give this pyramid aspect of it. Dr. Teresa Bullard from Gaia, she taught me this beautiful, beautiful teaching about the triangle of infinity and how we really humans learn. It's like, so we picture this triangle here, right? And from this corner right here, right,
Uh-huh.
there is knowledge, right? So to really understand this knowledge, we gotta go from here and understanding is here, right? On this
Mhm.
other corner. So from here, from this corner to this other corner of the triangle, it's progression.
Mhm.
Applying.
Yeah.
Applying that knowledge. We actually have to apply it to ourselves. That leads us into understanding. When we're in the corner of this pyramid over here, when we truly understand something, then that's when we're really serving. That's when we truly start to service ourselves. And then we want to service other people because we know within our hearts that all this progression has led us to true understanding. Then from serving other people, we service spirit, we service the universe. And then when we go up into the pyramid, that leads us into wisdom. And then when we're at the wisdom, we don't stop. What we actually got to do is empty that cup, okay? Because we want to be humble. We want to, when we're at the tip of the mountain of this pyramid, we don't want to become, we don't want the ego to hijack and be like, I know it all. We empty ourselves and go down again into new knowledge, progression, understanding. We service ourselves again. We service other people, the universe, spirit, wisdom. And it's that triangle infinity.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is like in the spiritual community, whoever is watching us, it's not just about reading knowledge. It's not just about watching a video and being like, oh, that makes sense. And then you use your ego in terms of like, I already know this information. It's about embodying, applying that every day. And that's where shadow work, alchemy comes in, when we're really applying that and unlayering, and applying that leads us to progression, understanding, true wisdom.
Yeah. Yeah, it just reminds me of one of my favorite quotes. It's what does it go? It goes, love is to know I am everything, wisdom is to know that I am nothing, and in
Yes,
between the two I move. I love that quote.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just stay humble, everyone. I know our ego gets there, but stay humble, because if you're
Mm.
looking for ascension guide, if you're looking for some type of guidance, make sure that you don't put someone on a pedestal,
Oh, yeah.
because that you're not going to see eye to eye. They're
You
not
can
better than
switch.
we're not better than you. We're
No.
all the same. And if you're a healer or guiding people, don't allow people to put you on a pedestal,
Oh, yes.
because
Healthy
yeah,
boundaries.
we're
Yeah.
all here equal. We all have something to teach. We all have something
Mm.
to learn, and we're all here just trying to
Me too. Yes.
live.
I do get a lot of messages when people are telling me, you're so humble and you have to be humble, because it's like I might have more years under my belt from doing spiritual research and perhaps like how my childhood was designed for me to wake up early. But that doesn't mean anything. I'm also always a student, and as I'm able to guide other people, I'm learning from them, because
Exactly.
that's giving me understanding, deeper understanding about what I'm guiding into,
Yeah.
and I always develop and just create these boundaries that, like, I don't, like, I feel like that old saying of, like, therapy and psychology, this codependent energy. I feel like this new guidance that is coming in a 5D, it's all about giving the tools back to the person and being like, and allow them to understand that, like, the light is already within yourself. You just got to harness it, acknowledge it, and heal yourself back. Like, really, really use that. And
Yeah.
all these tools that today we were able to give you guys, with alchemy, in shadow work, in transmutation, connecting to your guides, working with Gaia. Do one at the time. Gratitude, it is important. Gratitude, it really is that key to stay on the 5D, because it's a higher frequency. But know when to go diving into your shadows and actually do the work. And perhaps, even if it takes you 3 days, know that that light in that shadow is guiding you, and it is always within yourself, and you will go back into your center. Fear is only here to teach us, gives us lessons, and also have boundaries. I feel like people got to have boundaries with their mind and their ego too, because the mind can be like, bam, 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 3,000 things.
Yeah.
It's-
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for
It's
having
a
me.
great, great opportunity. And until the next time, any last words?
Stay protected. You're always connected, and we love you.
Yes.